I say it's not the off-season, it's the preseason. I say July, never too early for a mock draft. I say I don't have any friends. We're here with 7 rounds of mock draft action, 7 rounds, 8 picks, the Kansas City Chiefs. We are still at the point where things are going to be fairly low resolution, but there are, I think, some themes that could arise in this upcoming draft. Round 1, pick 32, and you know what that means. The Kansas City Chiefs projected to win the Super Bowl yet again. Ephesians Prysock, the 6'4", 190-pound corner, now out of Washington, previously of Arizona. So far, I don't even know whisper numbers on a 40-yard dash for Ephesians. It is a little early to tell if Prysock is going to go pro, as he is basically a big bundle of potential at this point, but he started 3 games as a freshman at Arizona and all 13 games last season. It's obviously tempting to look at his height and just sort of assume that he is not a cornerback, he is a safety, but no, this guy moves like a cornerback. Playing corner, he had 44 tackles, an interception, and either 6 or 7 PBUs, depending on where you find the statistics. Last season, he is a smooth operator at the corner position. I do not necessarily get the sense that there's still, I'm working off limited resources here, but I don't get the sense that he is the most physical cornerback. But he does seem fairly good at wrapping up and making the tackle. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned, Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson will be in the final years of their rookie contracts during the 2025 season. Prysock is going to be a true junior, so he will be the young type of player that Brett Veach likes to draft. And if you run a gander down this list just real quick, you'll see that he's the only defensive back on this list, and we know Brett Veach is absolutely going to draft at least one defensive back. Potentially putting another Washington cornerback next to Trent McDuffie might not be a very popular pick in Kansas City because we've seen so many defensive backs run through, but if he starts to act on the potential that he has, Ephesians might not even be there at the number 32 spot. This might be another special where Brett Veach ends up having to trade up to get his guy. By the by, maybe neither here nor there, but I've done a few mock drafts just to try to get into the swing of things with this class, and on more than one occasion, Travis Hunter has been there at 32. And the first time this happened, I thought, oh, well, that's silly, that's ridiculous, that's idiotic, would never happen. But if we went back to this time period with the 2022 NFL draft, the 2023 NFL draft, and I had told you that at 32, you'd be able to get, at 32, again, that same pick, you'd be able to get Joey Porter Jr., everyone would have laughed at me. Joey Porter Jr. ended up going 32nd overall. Of course, this was the year that the Dolphins forfeited their first-round pick, so he was the first pick in the second round to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Round 2, pick 64, JT Tuimoloau. 6'4", 270 pounds, reported to run a 4.62, an edge prospect out of Ohio State. He's one of these guys that looks way smaller than he actually is. He's a guy who has incredible closing speed. He's a guy who times getting his hands up really well to disrupt the passer. If it feels like he's been in college forever, that's because he has been making an impact since 2021, his freshman year. Tuimoloau is all gas, no brakes, all the time. That said, all of that said, he doesn't appear to have any real freak capabilities. He's not going to run a 4.3 40. He's not going to have 37-inch arms. He's not 6'6". He's not 285 pounds. And because of that, guys like this get pushed down the draft board time and again. Is it realistic that he's available at 64? Well, it's possible. For his size profile, he's not great against the run. For his reputation as a high-energy guy, you would like to see him use his hands a little bit better. But this is absolutely 100,000% a down and dirty football player. Yes, it's kind of difficult to stomach seeing another edge player taken in the first couple of rounds. But guys, you can simply never have enough edge rotational pieces. You can never have enough guys that can play defensive end in the football league, national, in the NFL. And Tuimoloau can absolutely play defensive end in the NFL. Third round, pick 66 overall, Trevor Etienne, the running back out of Georgia who goes 5'9", 217 pounds, projected to have a 4.48 40-yard dash. 2024 is the penultimate year of Isaiah Pacheco's rookie contract. Will Brett Veach want to re-sign a running back? Listen, I like Isaiah Pacheco as much as anybody, and he does average 4.7 yards per carry over his career. That's about what you want out of a running back if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. But he has never crossed 1,000 yards, only starting 11 games as a rookie and 13 games last season, and he does not add as much to the passing game as one might hope. If Isaiah Pacheco is re-signed to a 15-year deal in Kansas City, I will be absolutely elated. That does not strike me as a particularly Brett Veach type of move. For his part of things, Trevor Etienne really does remind me a lot of Isaiah Pacheco. He's a smaller back with a bigger mentality. He's not really a water bug, nor is he a one-cut runner. He just kind of gets the ball and goes. And he reminds me of Isaiah Pacheco right down to the point where you have to look at his athletic profile and be surprised by the lack of explosive plays. Now, in Isaiah Pacheco's defense, explosive plays in the NFL have been kind of down since he got into the league. And if you can make a list of the last 3 60-yard touchdown runs you saw a running back make, I will be extremely impressed. Both of these backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Trevor Etienne, will absolutely get every yard that they are supposed to get. Both of them, however, have seemed to forsake the idea of slipperiness for the philosophy of being a battering ram to wear defenses down. And if this is the case that Isaiah Pacheco does not re-sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, it may be as simple as a plug-and-play trade-out for Trevor Etienne. Round 3, pick 96, Dante Corleone, the defensive tackle out of Cincinnati. He goes 6'2", 318 pounds, reportedly will run a 5.1 40-yard dash. I don't know if I see that happening. Now, the first thing that I have to mention when talking about Corleone is this. He wears number 58. He is a defensive lineman. I have no real reason to believe that he wears 58 for Derek Thomas, but I'm going to believe it anyway. And for that reason alone, I need him on the Kansas City Chiefs. He is one of Feldman's freaks who writes that Corleone has a 485-pound bench, a 605-pound squat, and a 700-pound deadlift. Corleone is another player who is suspiciously bigger than the way he looks. He looks like a small defensive tackle. I would dare to say that he even sort of moves like a small defensive tackle, but listed oftentimes 318 to 322 pounds. However, he plays like a massive defensive tackle. He is a strong guy. I am of the opinion that he really would have gone not early, but early for a run-stuffing athletic defensive tackle in the draft this past season. So I think this may strangely be one of the first cases of NIL actually keeping a player in college. I don't know that to be the case. I don't know if he has NIL money, but it seems to me that he is of the stature that he would have gone probably third or fourth round this past season. As for the Chiefs' end of this equation, it's probably obvious at this point the Kansas City Chiefs just can't seem to find anyone to place next to poor old Chris Jones that's going to make an impact. And at this point in the draft, looking at things, Ephesians Prysock, if he fulfills his potential, could be a rookie season starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. JT Tuimoloau, I don't think would start as a rookie. Trevor Etienne would still be battling Isaiah Pacheco his rookie season, so I don't think he would see the field too terribly much. Dante Corleone could be a second starter for the Kansas City Chiefs as a rookie in this draft class. Round 4, pick 129, Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State, who goes 6'4", 210 pounds. I am not sure what the 40-yard dash is going to be for Jaden Higgins. I don't think he's going to run a blazing time. Watching Jaden Higgins actually reminds me a little bit of Juju Smith-Schuster as we saw him in Kansas City. A very steady hand at the wide receiver position that can come in, make a reception, make one move, and end up falling forward. That is, and plus you've got the size here with Jaden Higgins at 6'4" to give the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes a little bit of a different target from what is running around out there for the Chiefs at this time. Now, obviously, he's not going to be replacing Marquise Brown. I think that you're hoping Xavier Worthy can replace Marquise Brown, and that Jaden Higgins comes in and becomes the new Justin Watson. He adopted a huge step up in competition, moving from Eastern Kentucky to play at Iowa State, and became their leading receiver right out of the gates. And what you'd be getting with Higgins is this. He's a big guy. He's not a massive guy. He's got good enough speed, but he's not a burner. He is everything just down the middle of the road as far as what it means to be able to play wide receiver in the NFL. But I think he can play wide receiver in the NFL. The Chiefs right now, for all of the potential on the roster, probably have a couple too many guys that cannot play wide receiver in the NFL as far as everything that it means, being consistent, being able to catch, being able to get out of breaks for whatever the reason is. There is a lot of potential unfulfilled on the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core right now. Jaden Higgins does not have the highest ceiling, but I think he has a very high floor, and that's a guy like Justin Watson that is good to have around. Then we have round 5, pick 159, Marcus Mbow, the offensive tackle out of Purdue, who is 6'5", 305 pounds. He fits the profile of the type of offensive lineman the Kansas City Chiefs seem to be aiming towards, in that he is a violent guy. He tries to absolutely annihilate his man. Is he an offensive tackle? Maybe. Is he an offensive guard? Maybe. The Kansas City Chiefs could use a guy that has 4-spot versatility. I will say that sometimes he's a little bit slow to drop his anchor, but once he does drop that anchor, he's pretty good. He's really good with his hands. He's really active in the running game. I think that his foot speed is underrated, even if his footwork maybe is not. Then round 7, pick 198, Ricky White, wide receiver out of UNLV, 6'1", 190 pounds, projected to run a 4.45 40-yard dash. I think that might be a slow projection. He has football speed. He is a guy that if you can get him involved in your offense, it's going to be a long day for the defense. He is never really caught on at the college level as far as maybe generating the stats to the level that I think his talent would allow. Part of that might be that I don't really know how to say this. He's a little bit of a messy athlete. He gets his hands out of coordination with his feet out of coordination with his body. He gets his hands out of coordination with his upper half. But overall, he is a long strider with serious speed that also has sudden-type quickness. And finally, round 7, pick 214, Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle, now out of Oregon, who goes 6'1", 320 pounds, with another projected 5.1 40-yard dash that would be seriously surprising. Last season, he played 392 snaps for Houston. He had 17 tackles, 6 assisted tackles. He also had 14 pressures, 8 quarterback hurries, and 6 sacks. I think Caldwell can play defensive tackle in the league. I am not 1,000% sold on it at this point. Seeing him against better competition this season at Oregon will tell us a lot more than we know at this point. And at this point for the Kansas City Chiefs, sometimes I think just throwing the darts and seeing if anything hits the board is the only strategy that's left, and that might be what the Kansas City Chiefs have to end up doing in order to find a defensive tackle to put next to Chris Jones. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for this, the very first mock draft, 7-round mock draft of the 2025 NFL draft cycle. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more Kansas City Chiefs-based content in the future, as the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, and I hope to have you back for the next one.